right, let's do this, people. Pita bread. You know it as that flavorless disc that comes with other food that you actually like. It's like the bread equivalent of that circle of cardboard that comes underneath a frozen pizza. That's what a lot of people think of when they think of pita bread. But today, Kitchen of the Dan is going to show you that pita means something completely different and a whole lot better. Pita can be your favorite part of pretty much any meal, and it's really easy and fun to make. So let's see how it's done. I'm going to start off with 3½ cups of flour. I have here 3/4 of a cup of whole wheat flour, and the rest of it's going to be bread flour, 2 3/4 cups. I'm going to add to that 1 dose of instant yeast, and a dose is about 7 grams or 2 1/4 teaspoons, or exactly this amount. So look at it carefully before I dump it in there, with its very best friend, 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar. These guys are gonna start off together with a little bit of a mix, just so they don't feel left out. I'm gonna introduce you to our other ingredients. We have about a tablespoon of olive oil, 1.5 cups of lukewarm water, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Actually, this is a little bit less than a teaspoon because I'm not using my flaky baking salt. I got to the bottom of the box, so this salt is a little saltier. I've gone a little bit light on that, but if you're using the flaky baking salt, use 1 teaspoon. The next couple steps happen over at the mixer, so let's go over there. You all situated? Let's take a look at what we've got here. This is our flour, sugar, and yeast. We're just going to set that into our mixer and give it a bit of a stir. And then we'll add 1 teaspoon of olive oil. You remember that from the last shot. We'll give it a moment to get a little bit mixed in. And then we'll add 1 1/2 cups of lukewarm to semi-warm water. I'm going to add it gradually so that I'm sure that it incorporates evenly. And I'll reserve about the last 1/4 cup or so, if you can see that, for when the flour is pretty much all looped in already. The idea here is I'd like the sugar and the yeast and the flour all to get something started together. The water will help them coordinate those activities. But we want the yeast to really be happy when it gets started. So it's going to start without the salt, which can sometimes inhibit its free activation. And you can see that our flour is pretty much all soaked up by now. But we're going to add the last of the water and let this mixer roll until all of the flour has been picked up. There we go. And at this point, we're ready to start encouraging some gluten formation by adding our salt. You can just dump it right in and it will get mixed in thoroughly. And it won't take but a few moments before we can see a real change in the texture and the kind of stretchiness of our dough. I'm going to let this roll for a couple of more moments, and then you can join us over at the big table when we talk about how to turn these things into boules. Well, there you are, you sneaky devils. I'm glad you came back because it's time for us to turn dough into boules, which is the next step before having loaves. Here we are. It's a nice firm dough. It's got good stretch to it. It's not sticking to my hands at all. And I just want to get it into one big ball. Well, one single ball. I guess it's not that big, but you can judge for yourself how big the ball is. But I have one of them, and I'm going to cut it directly in half, as close as I can. And then I'm going to take each of those and kind of do the same thing twice. These should be equal. I'm going to cut them into 4 pieces. Once up the middle, and once from side to side, as the ancient song goes. Now, these are probably pretty close to being equal, but I'm going to take a few moments and use a scale and get them absolutely equal. And you will join me on the other side of that process because it's tedious. Wow, I'm sorry you missed that. It was much more exciting than I thought, but you know, your loss. We now have 8 lumps of dough that are all within 2 or 3 grams of each other. The average is about 107. And we need to turn these into beautiful little round boules. So I'm going to shift you around so you can get a better look at how I do that. Well, if you can't see from there, I don't know what. Let's give this a shot. Here is one of our little boules, and I'm going to start with the ball of my hand here, bottom of my hand, and gently massage it into a round shape. Once it's a round shape, I'm going to pull it together and make sure the bottom of it is neatly pinched up. This is a learned art, so don't worry about it if you don't have your first one right, but by your 8th one, I'm sure you'll be pinching bottoms with the best of them. That is one beautiful boule. I'm going to do this 8 more times, and we're going to catch up once that's happened.